Hey everyone, this is My Project Hell, and I'm Kelly Schactler. And for the next 20 minutes, my partner Paul and I are going to do what we always do, and that's explore a slice of the project management universe, where we like to do our best to bring some sense making to the often confusing discipline of project management. And we also like to talk plainly about what project management is and bring some real solutions for real project problems.
That's right. Even when things do sort of come to an abrupt beginning. Um, I am Paul Thompson, and in this episode, we are going to dive deeper into the agile world of project management. And I encourage you guys that are here with us, join in the conversation using the chat, share your thoughts and ideas with everyone throughout the episode. Today, joining us is Rachele Whitfield. Rachele is a agile practice manager. She's with an organization where she really is responsible for bringing their engineering program into an agile approach to everything. And what we're really getting to dive into today is agile project management for non-software software. So we're gonna see what tips and ideas Rachele has for us.
Hey Rachele, welcome.
Hey Paul, hey Kelly, thank you so much for having me on your podcast. Super excited to be here.
Well, we're glad to have you and just appreciate you making time. We know that everyone's busy, especially right now as we're heading into a couple weeks of the end of December. Notice a drop off in those meetings today. So I love that you were willing to come on and talk about this. This is something that I'm always curious about. And before we get into some of our meatier questions, can you tell us more about the work that your business unit or department does on a day-to-day basis? Just kind of tee us up for moving into the other questions.
Sure, Kelly. So our department at Providence, we are responsible, we are the service integration department. And what we do is we maintain and optimize our infrastructure for the Epic Health Record System, and then also for virtual application delivery through Citrix. And so we maintain that infrastructure environment for over 50 hospitals and 1,000 clinics. Our environment scale is massive. You know, we have nearly, I think around 180,000 unique users and 60,000 concurrent sessions. We're starting to migrate from on-prem data centers. So we have about 20 farms. I think 18 now, and we're moving to the cloud. So we have a lot of stuff going on. My team specifically, we have 3 different hats that we wear. We are an agile practice office, so we provide coaching out to the enterprise for all IT employees here at Providence. We also do technical program and project management, like migrating to the cloud. That's a big deal. And then finally, we also have a team that is building out our business intelligence capabilities through reporting and analytics.
That's a lot. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, no problem.
No, that's great. And really, you know, kind of mentioned it early. Agile really started out as a software development tool, right? But you've taken it to the next level. It's in activities that aren't the same as just adding a feature to a software product that exists. So can you tell us how you're applying some of your agile philosophies and framework into the activities that you just described?
Sure, Paul. I have to take a step back here, though, and provide a little bit of education that I might disagree with the fundamental history of Agile being
I love it.
Developed out of software development needs. Actually, it dates all the way back to manufacturing processes. So back to the 30s with Bell Labs. And then we have this huge case study that many of us refer to consistently through, you know, the Toyota production systems, et cetera. So I actually believe that Agile came from our manufacturing processes and is really related to originally the scientific method that goes way, way back to what, the 1600s or something.
Right.
So throughout the decades, there have been these innovators and disruptors who have taken these iterative incremental delivery systems, and that was really the groundwork for Agile, which most software development companies are leveraging now. So what we do is we come in and we look at what are the fundamental value, what is the fundamental value offering through Agile frameworks that we can apply to non-software development teams. And I think it goes back to prioritization, always looking at how we deliver value as quickly as possible, not letting perfection get in the way of the good, and continuously improving. So what our team has done in our department is we have implemented Scrum across all of our engineering teams. So we support about a dozen teams in our department right now. And what we did is we came in with the basic training and fundamentals. So what are the roles that are required for this framework? How do we start changing the way that we organize our work? As operational engineering teams, we were very reactive, and we have to be, right? For some of our work, there's no way around that. We all know break fix work is priority number one, and we can't predict that. So, but what we can do is start carving out our average capacity, if you will, for our ability to plan project work and do a better job proactively prioritizing the highest value type of work that we do. So we implemented those teams. We've rejigged our tools to be in alignment with Agile best practices, specifically Scrum in our department. And then we've actually just kicked off of the more strategic planning once we got our teams comfortable with what it means to be working in a Scrum framework from team to team. And we just kicked off our portfolio planning for strategic projects. So now where we're starting to piece together the service offerings that each of our functional teams do, and then how do we start looking at that and meeting executive leadership reporting needs to know, are we on track? How are we, what are these timelines look like? Are they realistic? What's our velocity, et cetera? So did that answer your question? I think that was a whole lot all in one answer.
That was a lot. Any specifics around kind of that day-to-day application? I mean, I hear that, you've got Scrum for kind of applying. Scrum can mean a lot of things, from, we got our 5-minute huddle in the morning to we took things off through sprints. We have, how do things get into sprints? Who's managing your backlog? Things like that would normally be held by a product manager. That you guys don't really have a product manager as a product, right?
Yeah, no, great question. So we do all of the ceremonies and maintain the artifacts and Scrum. So we do sprint planning with each of our functional teams. When we went through what one of my team members set up for us called the Agile Reset in our department, we carved out those functional teams and then had had training opportunities for people to understand, okay, I'm quote a developer, I guess, if we're going back to software terms here, or I'm a functional team member. Our engineering managers act as our product owners. So they have been educated and are on board to own their backlog. So they're responsible for prioritizing, holding team members accountable for building out user stories, making sure that we understand our definition of done. And then people on my team, our program managers, act as the Scrum Masters. So in support of each of our functional teams, we are coaching towards best practice, helping them mature their understanding of Scrum and how to effectively manage a backlog. But we do sprint planning, daily stand-ups, we do sprint retrospectives. If we have something that is worthy of a demo, we'll do a sprint review. But our key fundamental work right now is operational engineering. So sometimes we don't have anything that's worthy of a demo session.
Hard to show a new server sitting there spinning, right?
Exactly.
Well, I love how you just overlaid Agile over the way that the rhythm of your business. And I imagine that it's been a journey over time, and curious to learn a little bit more about how long that journey took. And more importantly, what are some of the challenges or obstacles that you've had to overcome in trying to implement Agile in a non-software environment?
Yeah, great question, Kelly. So I have been with Providence. I'm coming up on 2 years. We didn't really kick off our Agile reset, as we call it, until, gosh, I think it was the fall of 2021. So we're probably about a year in here. And some of the challenges that we're still working to overcome are really, it's easy-ish to implement the process of Scrum, right? So the hard part is really encouraging and coaching our team members to understand the cultural and mindset shifts that need to happen to become agile instead of doing agile. And so we're not there yet. That's a long game, right? So we're just continuously coaching and helping our team members better understand the framework and the value for them, like what's in it for me as an infrastructure engineer. Why do I care about a retrospective? And so that's where we really are trying to continue to grow our understanding as a team and learn all that we can.
Very cool. Very cool.
I like that idea of doing versus becoming. It's like there's a connection there where the PMs and the team actually need to integrate it into like who they are, how their DNA, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then that brings up a side that I always find fascinating, because so I think of Agile and it's about trust. It's instead of directive, right? It's not command and control. It's trust the team to not completely self-manage, but to work within the guidelines and the guardrails that are set up. But that's really a leadership problem, right? It's not hard for an engineer to go, give me some trust and I'll do this. It's often harder for the leadership to let go of that command and control, and you go over here, you do this, you do that. How'd you get buy-in? What tool, how do you get them to go for this?
Great question.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the question is maybe not how did I get buy-in, but how do I continue to get buy-in week over week over week based on what we're doing? And really, I think the approach here is to start small, establish baseline metrics with the teams, through whatever makes sense for your team. For us, it was really like we were not as well organized as we could be. We implemented backlogs, taught our team members what a good user story is, looked at user story completion rate over time to get some trending, taught our teams how to understand what a team velocity is, not as a metric to be compared against other teams with. We're very protective of our teams, but really for them to have a better understanding of this is our work and this is what we know we can sustainably complete sprint over sprint. So let's start level setting some of these timeline expectations or work management expectations. So I think having, starting small, having some baseline metrics that then we can back up our story that we're telling to executives has been really productive. And then just continuing to kind of move move and work slowly. Providence is massive. We're a highly matrix organization. We're still command and control. So there's a lot of work to be done there, but super thankful that we have some fantastic executive leadership in place that they seem to be on board, and it's really an education opportunity sometimes where then we're like, well, you've seen it at other organizations and we can't just copy and paste what you did at your last org with this org because we do different work. We're in a different sector. It's highly controlled, et cetera. So it's really, just having the right people in the right seats to help our executives understand this is where we're at fundamentally as an organization. And for us to really be successful, we've got to consider systematic changes at the enterprise. It's not just a team work organization framework.
Right.
And I think that that's a big challenge, right? Where they just, oh, you got it. Like, just tell the teams to put it in the backlog and we're good to go. And you got a sprint cycle. And, it's a simplified understanding.
Yeah, I'm a big believer that, culture trumps planning every time, and you got to work on the culture first so your plans can follow.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It
So
takes a
Rachele,
while though. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm curious, was it a harder sell in the beginning or even ongoing to leadership or to the PMs and program managers?
That's a great question. So intentionally on my team, I actually hired people that have different experience. So I've got a fantastic traditional waterfall program manager who I would put my money on to, transition a data center anywhere in the world. Then I've got a Scrum expert who's a certified Scrum professional. I have someone on my team who is very familiar with Scaled Agile framework. So there's these different methodologies that we can take pieces and parts from and make sure that we're implementing tools that are most valuable for our team, our sector, our department, organization, et cetera. So I feel like that's been a little bit easier to work through with project managers. It's really just an opportunity for education, especially those who are used to a traditional waterfall approach. Like, here are the really valuable things that we want to continue. Like, I think there's value in kickoff meetings for projects. And, what we're doing is we're just kind of eliminating the heavy-handed documentation and upfront planning where we're taking the more iterative approach. For senior leadership, I think what's really been the challenge is and we're still working on it, honestly, is addressing those system changes that need to happen in alignment with an agile strategy. So to be more specific, HR functions, finance functions, like as IT engineering teams, we can work within an agile framework and constantly prioritize high value work. But when it comes to capital projects and expenditures and all of the very labor intensive processes that are associated with traditional project management, that's where we start feeling the rub more. Annual performance reviews. How do you manage those when you're constantly iterating and your priorities are shifting? So those are some of the things that I see that we definitely need to work on.
It's really nice to hear you talk about some of these things, very thoughtful approach that you and the organization have taken, and really considerate, of all the different business units, departments, and an investment in the training of your people. And so to that point, when you're training the PMs and bringing everybody into alignment for Agile, is there one competency that you think really is important and critical for any person, resource operating in your team and department to have to be able to bring to the table, or at least learn?
Absolutely, Kelly. I think Paul maybe referenced it just a couple of minutes ago, like building trust through servant leadership, I think is critical. So as I know that's a characteristic, but for me, it goes back to a concept that I learned recently in one of the training courses I just took about agile leadership, is like we should be striving to become learn it all type of people instead of know it all type of people. So as PMs come in and if they're eager to learn and to understand different frameworks and methodologies to organize work in a way that makes most sense for their teams. I think that that's a fantastic quality, and it goes back to inherently being a servant leader and understanding what can I do for my teams to really help set them up for success, which then in turn sets ourselves up for success.
Wow.
Thank you. I like that. Well said.
Well, thank you.
So I think we'll just wind things up. I'm looking at the time, and just to recap some of the thoughts. Thank you, Rachel. I mean, you've done an outstanding job at laying out the journey that you've been through in this organization and taking Agile and bringing it into an environment that's not software development. And I've really enjoyed listening to all of the things that you've shared with us today. And I think, our listeners are really going to have some good takeaways. And that idea of copy and paste, that really stood out to me. I think a lot of organizations try to, hey, we're going to replicate this verbatim in our organization. There's so many other factors that have to be considered. And so, if any of our listeners today are in an organization who would like to apply more agile project management, just consider the uniqueness of your culture and your organization, and that it's not one size fits all, but there's a lot of opportunity. So just thank you again for being with us today and sharing your wisdom and experience.
Oh, thank you for having me. The pleasure was mine. And if anyone has questions or wants to reach out, I'm always happy to connect and see if I can help somewhere, and then also learn from others. We're definitely still at the beginning of our journey as well. So always opportunity to learn from others.
Thank you, Rachel. All right. That is about all the time we have today. In fact, we're a little bit over. As a wrap up, I encourage everyone, check out our previous episodes out on our My Project Hell YouTube channel. And I hope you enjoyed the show today as much as Kelly and I did putting it together for you. Thank you all. And thank you, Rachel.
And you can catch all of our episodes, including the one that we're going to have in a couple weeks after, of course, we record it. It's our golden anniversary 50th episode of My Project Hell. And Paul and I are going to join together like we did last year at this time and talk about ways to advance your game in project management in 2023. So hope you'll join us then or take a listen to the recording. And thank you always for listening to My Project Hell. We'll see you next time.
Thanks all.